How would your life change if you added a zero to your bank account? I know for me, every time I added a zero to my bank account, it was like a life accomplishment. A lot of things changed. I had more freedom. More importantly, I had way less stress. And this book explains how to get from zero to your first million step by step. I just finished reading it and I wanted to share some really cool takeaways that I got from this that can hopefully accelerate your path to financial freedom and your first million. The first step is getting to zero. I'm actually gonna gloss over this because I talk a lot about saving money, paying off debt on my channel. She has a lot of great information in here, but I wanna move right on to getting to your first $10,000 and ultimately your first million in a much faster time frame than most people do, and a pretty proven method. I've actually known Rose for a couple of years. She's done a lot of similar things that I've done, and I've actually seen this work in real life for tons of people. So your first 10,000 teaches you discipline. And it's true, honestly, your first 10,000 is going to suck because this is built on frugal living. It's like cutting out the lattes, not going out to dinner, all the stuff that I talk about on this channel. A lot of stuff that I have done myself. This might be working an extra side hustle. For me, for my first 10,000, I was cleaning office buildings, doing construction, doing a lot of crap that I didn't enjoy doing, but got me to that point where I could make a real impact in my future, which is the whole goal of this book. But the important thing is here is that you want to build discipline, because the systems that you set up right now in the first zero and the first $10,000 will be the thing that make it possible to get to the next steps. If you don't have a good system, it doesn't matter how much you earn. If your money is just flowing through your hands, then it won't make any difference if you get a raise, if you have a side hustle that's making money, because you'll just spend more. This is the time where, yes, you do need to focus on some of the little things, especially in this stage, which the good news is you don't have to later. But you also need to avoid a little bit of a trap. So most people spend their lives protecting pennies instead of chasing dollars. And at this stage, you've got to protect your pennies, but you can't get stuck there. I got stuck here for way too long. And you need to make sure that you don't do the same thing. So this is where you need to create a budget. You need to find out exactly how much is coming in, what is going out, where the heck it is going, and really build some discipline and practice delayed gratification, because this stage is temporary. The 0 to 10K stage, the 10 to 100K stage is a temporary spot. And if you can suck it up for that period, it allows you the freedom that comes in some of the later steps, but you need to sacrifice some things at this point. So setting up a budget, negotiating your bills, especially your big expenses, can really accelerate your financial goals, which you should also be setting during this stage. She talks about really not focusing on, obviously the lattes as much as focusing on your big expenses, which your big 3 expenses are gonna be your housing, your transportation, and your food. And so if you can move your location, she actually lived in a van, which is really cheap, obviously, lowering your transportation as much as possible by driving an older car, not buying new ones, cutting down your food expenses, not going out as much, not going out for drinks as much and stuff like that, but just really cooking at home and building systems to lower your monthly expenses, which will allow you to save more money. And then we get to the next steps where you can have that money make you even more money, and you get more and more freedom with each dollar that you get. Now we get into the first 100,000 systems. Once you have built discipline, you need systems. Rose says, discipline builds the habit, systems build wealth. This is where you stop obsessing about the little things in your finances and start thinking bigger, which is the only way to get to freedom. Instead of asking, how can I save $5 today? Ask, how can I make $1,000 this month? I wish I had read some of this sooner because I got stuck for so long in that, like, how can I save $5? How can I thrift literally paint for my walls and everything that I own? How can I focus on that, saving a little bit more, instead of asking, how can I earn $1,000, $5,000 more, which is really the only way to get to $1 million. You'll never meet anybody unless they are like an engineer and make a ton of money that just saved their way to $1 million and financial freedom. It's pretty much impossible unless it's like takes 30, 40 years. You'll never meet that person. But if you see somebody who, like Rose, is able to have freedom, become a millionaire in just a couple years, have 7 days where she made $160,000, which I'll explain how she did it and how you can kind of copy some of these systems that I stole as well. Thanks, Rose. The only way to get to this freedom in your 20s or 30s is by being very different, which almost everything in this book where there's a lot of common sound principles, it's also thinking very different, because the ultimate goal is financial freedom as fast as possible while still being realistic. So this is where you've got to start changing your thinking to, instead of how can I earn a little bit more, how can I save a little bit more, is like, how can I catapult myself, have some exponential growth, that'll get me to that $1 million. A very common path for a ton of millionaires is starting a business, buying real estate, both of which Rose has done and I've also done, and that's a very common path. And actually a really common thing that people are doing right now is building their own business that is just online, and we're gonna use leverage, which I'll talk about in a second. But literally in the past year and a half, I think, I've personally helped 5 people leave their 9-to-5s through my own little niche of like making money on YouTube, which is crazy. And there's a billion ways to make money online. Let's move on to one of my favorite topics, which is leverage. I love how much he covered this in this book. Stop trading hours for dollars. Build assets that pay you whether you show up or not. I've read over 100 books on personal finances, and this seems to be the common thread that goes between a lot of them, is that if you want freedom quickly, you need to use leverage. It's pretty much the only path. See, at 100,000, you realize $1 million's pretty far away, and you probably get to the point where you're like, I just can't continue to trade my time for money. So you need to leverage both your time and your money. One way to do that would be stacking investments. For me and Rose, we both bought rentals where we put a certain amount of money in, and then that pays us money back every single month. And it also grows from the rental paying down the mortgage, and the price of the home increases. So our money is making us money 3 different ways in one asset. Another way could be buying stocks, where you're buying index funds, is what she recommends in this book. And those stocks keep growing and making you more and more money as you go. In fact, if you invest into the stock market and it earns whatever 8% per year, your money will double in roughly 7 years. And so each dollar that you're making that is extra should be going in some way to make you more and more money. And then they will have this snowball effect where life just keeps getting easier and easier without you putting in any more work. Now your money's working for you. Another thing you can do is to build assets that work for you. So if you don't want to buy an asset, you can build your own asset, which is a really cool idea that I love how much he talks about in here. For both me and Rose, we started YouTube channels where maybe we didn't make a lot of money in the beginning, but each video that you create is a digital asset, and you can put it out into the world and it will continue to pay you pretty much indefinitely if you make good YouTube videos. You also have the chance to make no money. But starting some type of personal brand or business or YouTube is one way to kind of create your own asset, where you put in a lot of time and money and effort up front to build something. And if it sticks, it can be one of those things that is infinitely scalable because of leverage. Now, Rose talks about the 3 levels of leverage. First, you're gonna have one-to-one. Maybe you're a personal trainer, train one person, you make $50 for that. That's 1 hour of your time, that's what you're gonna get. Now you have a one-to-many. Maybe you teach a group class, they all pay $25 each, but you have 8 people joining there. Now your 1 hour is worth a lot more. Next, maybe you take a lot of time, you build a personal brand, you get even just a little bit of a following, and you create some type of digital product that is way better than an hour's worth of class, right? And you sell that to infinity amount of people. Now you have a potential for your hour to make $100, $1,000, $10,000. Rose had 1 week where she made $160,000 doing exactly that. And this is not crazy. I have one person who makes $12,000 a month with 12,000 subscribers on YouTube after a couple of years of making nothing. I've started 2 channels in the past year that both make over $1,000 a video. And I've helped tons of other people do this as well because it's proven systems. Everything in this book, when it comes to your money, when it comes to growing a business, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to find somebody who's doing what you want to do and copy a lot of what they say.
By the way, if you want to learn how to make money on YouTube, I have a free 21-day course on exactly how to get started. Proven systems that have worked for a bunch of people. So if you want to check it out, there's a link down below. Again, totally free.
Another way to leverage is with your time. This could be hiring out help. Maybe if you make $50 an hour and you can pay somebody $20 an hour to even do things around your house, you could take that time and earn more efficiently with it. Same thing applies to your business, to paying for software. It's just really optimizing things in your life to start buying back some of your time. And that's where we get to the first million. Because in order to get to $1 million, we need to have those systems and leverage and really start to optimize things in our lives. And the cool thing about 100,000 is it starts growing really fast. Even if it's just earning 8% a year, your money is making $8,000 a year. That's without using some of these higher leverage activities. And so you're not just stacking cash, you're actually starting to gain momentum now, because next year you're gonna have $108,000 minimum that is now earning more money, and it just keeps getting easier and easier. And that's where we move to your first million, which is freedom. Rose says the real flex isn't buying stuff, it's owning your time. As a minimalist, this really spoke to me. Stuff does not matter. Every wealthy person that I know, Rose included, would tell you that stuff doesn't make you happy. The only reason to have a lot of money is to have freedom, because that can give you the time to spend times with your kids, to donate to charities that you like, make a difference in people's lives, to be able to travel, whatever it is that you want to do. The only way to get there is to build discipline, to set up systems, and to use leverage, and that's how you get to freedom. Then you get to the point where you ask, is this what I want to be doing with my life? If Rose doesn't want to make YouTube videos, she doesn't have to make YouTube videos. If I don't want to make YouTube videos, I don't have to make YouTube videos. This is a way that you can start really, really enjoying your life, because you get to ask, is this what I actually want to be doing? Do I feel like I'm making an impact? And this is something that you never get to think about until money is a little bit out of the question. And that generally happens once you're in that $1 million mark, where you're like, I could have my money be earning me enough money to mostly survive on at this point. What do I want to do? And we both think that you should be thinking about that a lot sooner. And that's why she talked about it at the 100K of like what type of thing would you like to do once you no longer have to have a day job? Can you start that at your first 10,000, at your first 100,000, so that the time you get to freedom, you can say, I love to read nerdy books about money and make a YouTube video in a couple hours and throw it up, and that's my work for the week. And if I want to do more, I can. If I don't want to do more, that's okay too. What is it that you would love to do if money wasn't an option? And how can you start laying the seeds for that as soon as possible? Obviously, there's a ton that I didn't get into in this book. Highly recommend reading it. There's a link down below if you want to buy it, anywhere books are sold, really. Thank you to Rose for sending this to me. Rose has been a big inspiration for me, so really proud of her for writing this book if you want to support her. I've always wanted to write a book, so should I? All my friends are. All right, I will see you next week. Don't forget to watch this video right here. It's another book review. It's really, really good. Can't stress that enough. So good. All right.